Welcome back to the Welsh Wire. It's Sheri Welsh, Welsh and Associates, talent acquisition experts in Kalamazoo, and we're back to talk with another fantastic West Michigan business leader. Today, we're talking about winning the war for talent with culture, a unique take on talent acquisition. And I am so thrilled to have as our guest today, Stacy Paul. Stacy is the CEO of Array of Engineers in Grand Rapids. If you're wondering what that is, hang on, because we're going to define it in just a minute. Stacy, thanks for being our guest today on the Welsh Wire.
Thank you so much for having me.
So glad to hear your story. You and I got acquainted through the Michigan 50 Companies to Watch program. We got introduced through that because you were in 2020 one of Michigan's 50 companies to watch. How exciting is that? Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
It's such a big honor. But, let's back up from that great honor you got last year. Let's go back to the beginning. You have a great story to tell about how Array of Engineers, your company, was born. So share with us a little bit about how that came to be.
Sure. My background is aerospace engineering, and I'm originally from northern Michigan. It's Johannesburg, Michigan, very small town.
Johannesburg, Lewiston.
Yep. Yeah.
Know that area. A little bit of potato farming, I think, up in that area, right?
Yeah, that's my dad, was a potato farmer, and my grandfather.
I love it.
And my brother.
Wonderful. That's great.
Yeah. So moved back to Michigan in the mid to late 2000s after we started to have a family. Loved Michigan. Was in Texas at the time, and just wanted to move back to the Midwest. And West Michigan is a great place to be. And so for the company, why we started the company, kind of threw around the idea for many years, and really wanted to do something more for our community and just create something that was very innovative and promote high technology in the engineering realm.
Right.
So many times I had seen in the past, so many companies would, especially in the engineering world, where you might have an engineer and you kind of put them in a spot and that's where they work, and they continually work in that area over and over again for many years. And then you get very complacent, right? And
yep.
But they're really potential. Their potential is so much more. And so
and you had seen this. When you and I chatted, you said that you had seen this over and over with people. As you worked for other companies, you'd seen engineers that really had a desire to kind of move out of that box where corporate America had placed them to do more things, to broaden their experience. And corporate America kind of said, no, this is really where we want you. This is the right place. And people felt a little trapped, stifled in their careers, right?
Yeah. So really wanted to do something that would allow people to, really become the best professionally and personally that they could become, and to help and leverage innovation and creativity with that. And then the other big passion that I have is promoting STEM. I think it's super important for us to give back to our community, whether your community is your school or your town or your state or your country, and just to give back in that way. And so I think that's super important, and to be involved with that. So create something that was one of our core values also, because I think that is something that people should live by. And sometimes you might not give back because the opportunity is not there, and then you do it and you're like, oh, that's not so bad, that's actually really fun.
Right. Well, and a lot of companies have a mission or pick a cause that they want to support. But for you, you really felt like STEM was it, which I think is pretty cool because, we hear a lot about STEM, but being a woman engineer, being a female in engineering is still kind of unique, right? Mm-hmm. And promoting STEM careers, especially for women. Wow. I mean, what an attractive thing for you to be able to do and to rally a team around being a female engineer. I think that's incredible.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really great.
So
Although promoting STEM careers in general to students, all across the board is so, so important because, I mean, that's really going to be our future, I think, here in Michigan, don't you?
oh, it is. And the thing is, like, STEM is so, especially now and anytime in the future, depending on no matter what you do, whether if you're a doctor, it'd be helpful to learn, your system that you're using, for your patients, or if you're an actual engineer, of course you're going to use it then. But then anything that you do, even teachers with the technology that you use for your students, and especially in this virtual world that we're in right now, it's so important to
Yes.
learn it.
Yes. So for you, starting your business wasn't necessarily about building a better mousetrap. It was about building a better culture, a better place for engineers to grow and develop personally and professionally, and a better place for the members of an organization, the team members in a business, to come together and to support a work that they all live and breathe in every day and care about, and that's STEM. I mean, that was really the driver, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
The sort of the work product and how you do that was almost secondary, which I think is so cool and so unique. So that was just, I mean, it sounds like that was something that was just kind of developing and kind of churning in you for what, a number of years?
Yeah. So so I thought about it for many, many years, trying, and then took the jump in January of 2018 is when I officially took the jump. Was just kind of in the right place in my life, and just felt that if I didn't do it right now, then it probably would not happen. So started it in 2018 with the core values in my head, that's what we were going to kind of have always and work towards, and started it in our house and then ended up in the basement, and was here for longer than what we wanted to be.
Right. That happens in startups, right?
Yep. Yeah, but then always kind of went back to our core values of what we wanted the company, what the company we wanted it to become. And so I think that's always important. And even when when we hire people, sometimes it's more important to even talk about those and see if they're a good fit, then more so than if they might know a technology, because most of the times anybody can learn a technology, but kind of what your core values are is it's pretty important to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And we haven't even talked about what it is you do,
Yeah.
what kind of engineering work you do. All we're focusing on is culture, which for our listeners, if you're getting that, I mean, this has been the foundation to Stacy's success in an organization, is making it all about culture and those core values, and hiring for that first, secondarily for the skill sets to be able to do the kind of business our clients are looking for. But let's go back to those core values. Stacy, tell us about those core values that you created. What do they sound like? What do they look like? Give them to us.
Yeah. So promotion of innovation and creativity. So that kind of goes to the not ever wanting to put somebody in a box, allowing them to expand and be super creative no matter what the task is. Not like you have to do A, B, C, but maybe you want to do C, D, F. So always taking that into account is very important to us. And that goes along with helping each employee reach their highest potential. So I think that's very important, whether it's personally or professionally, on both of those aspects. And then the promotion of STEM in our community, and helping our community become more STEM engaged is very, very important to us. And then, of course, customer-focused partnerships, because you have to have a good relationship, an open communication with your customers in order for that to be successful.
Right, right. Great values. I'm assuming that someone who doesn't pass all four doesn't pass go in the first interview at your organization, or they just don't fit.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Right. Because this is why you form the company. So when you find someone who embraces this, which candidly, who would not want to embrace this? What a great environment. What is the work that you do for your clients. Talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So on a super high level, we do embedded software and embedded hardware, embedded systems in general, for aerospace, space and defense, medical device, IoT customers. So we design the software that makes things run pretty much
Right.
at a high level. And then a big core competency that we have is the testing, the automation of that, the testing automation of it, and making sure that the software that's developed and the hardware that's developed works together the way it's supposed to be based on what the requirements are.
Yeah, exactly. The IoT, putting it all together. Yeah, that's great. That is terrific. So what were some of the challenges that you faced in those early days of your business? I mean, you mentioned one, working in the basement. We were in the basement a long time, right?
Yeah, that was definitely one of the challenges was finding a location. So finding a place where we were going to move to actually have an office. That was quite challenging. We couldn't find one that maybe the terms were about right. As a startup, we couldn't really sign a long-term lease because, in 10 years, we didn't know what we were going to be and how many people there were going to be on our team. And so that was a bit challenging for us. And then just the normal, I'm sure, startup challenges that somebody might have along the way. But we definitely, what I learned very early on was to have not only a good team of array of engineers, we have a great core team that we have, and then our whole team, but then also having a good team of, I have an amazing friend who's a banker. And so she helped us out at the very beginning so much as when we had our first client and I'm like, oh my goodness, we need a bank account. And so she brought the paperwork over to our house so we could sign it to get an official bank account. I mean, and then having a lawyer who's out, looking out for you. So I have a friend who's a lawyer who always, we can reach out to him and I know that he has our best interests and I don't have to be an expert in all of that, especially right now with, the pandemic happening and making sure that we have a professional that you can reach out to that you can trust. And then an accountant, like an accountant who's there, who understands that system. And so I think getting to understand that you can't do everything and that you have to find professionals who it's their job to learn the system, I think was something a lesson very important to learn.
Yes. And obviously you built that team very well because you sound like you've got it all covered right now. And although it was a challenge in the beginning, assembling it sounds like it's running really well. And it sounds like too that one of the things you didn't mention that a lot of people talk about in that startup phase is hiring the right talent, getting the right people on the team. But again, you've developed a culture and core values that makes your organization so attractive to people. It doesn't seem like that was a problem for you. Were you able to fully implement this vision for your culture, like right off the bat, or did it take some time to catch hold? Talk about that a little bit, if you would.
Sure. So definitely it takes time, right? And in every decision that you might have to make, you have to kind of, sometimes you start going in a path, and then you're like, well, I don't know if this is really following our core values. Maybe we should take a pause and reevaluate what we're doing. I have a fabulous a core team that we work with. That there's 5 of us, and we sit down and we talk about our goals as a company. And we have our 3-month goals, our 6-month goals, our 1-year goals, and then our super far out goals, because it's important to, have big dreams and stuff too. And then always looking back at our core values and thinking, if these are the right goals for us at the time. And they change, like based on what our goals were from, last year in January to like this year, it's completely different because we're in a different world. So, and it's okay to change what your goals are going to be.
That's
as long
right.
As you keep following those core values. Yeah.
Definitely. You really do. Yeah, you're right. I mean, you got to keep your eye on the core values. So I'm wondering, how long did it take in the evolution of the very startup of your company, kind of where you're at now? How long did it take before you said to yourself, I think we got something pretty special here. Was there a moment where that just flashed into your awareness? Like, I think we've got something here.
Yeah, I would say after this last year, going through the pandemic, it definitely switched a lot of things and changed different things. And I really saw a lot of our team rise up. And I think that if we didn't have our amazing team that we have, we probably wouldn't have been able to get through it as we did. Like we were able to sit down, well, virtually, like we went virtually. Fortunately, working in software, you can work at home virtually for the most part.
That's
so we're
right.
very fortunate there. And, being very open and honest with the team and just having an approach that we're all important and we don't want to we want to work as hard as we can to not have anyone get laid off. And if we have to, freeze raises, then that's what we're going to do. Or if we have to make a pay cut across the board so everybody, has it, it's the same across the board, then that's the right thing to do.
Right.
In making that decision mutually as a team, I think is important, and for people to understand it and have it be open so that they can ask questions. And I think the fact that we're able to get through all of that and continue, growing and expanding, I think then I'm like, okay, this is gonna work. We're good.
Right. And obviously that was recognized by Michigan 50 companies to watch in 2020 because it was a tough year last year.
Yeah.
And there weren't probably a lot of companies doing as great as you were. So kudos to you for being able to land on a list like that in a really, really tough year. But Stacy, I mean, it seems to me that when you hire a team where you focus on innovation and creativity and pushing people to do what they love and expand their boundaries and their knowledge base and encourage them to reach their potential, their highest potential, not just professionally, but personally. I mean, you've created a culture and environment that's trusting and really counts on you for guidance and direction. And they'll do, it sounds like they'll do just about anything for you because they trust you so much because you've had the highest good in mind for them and for your customers. I mean, what a great culture.
Yeah, that's what we try for.
It's really, really awesome. Let me ask you, what are your plans for the future? What does the future look like for Rave Engineers? What do you got planned?
Yeah, it's super exciting. So one of the something I'm really proud of our teammates for being able to do with COVID is, like I said at the very beginning, one of our customers is aerospace. So I'm sure everyone knows aerospace wasn't a great year for that. And so a couple of our projects didn't start out when we thought they were going to with COVID and everything. And so we were able to invest in some internal work that we had wanted to do for a while and create some really cool internal products that we developed them and are working on them and testing them and have implemented them and are using them for one customer and two actually, and then more. And so the fact that we're able to do that, I think, is amazing.
It is.
Yeah, so for the future, we actually just next week, we've hired our first full-time non-engineer who will start. And so he's going to specialize in marketing and sales and communication and try to help us market this internal product to other customers across the board. So that's a pretty big step for us. And the fact that we were, felt comfortable to do that, I think is a pretty big accomplishment. So
that is huge. Yeah, that is really huge, Stacy. I mean, that could explode your business literally overnight, right?
Yeah.
When other potential clients hear the story of your company and what a pleasure it might be to work with you. Yeah, lots of opportunity coming down the pike. Let me ask you as we close, are there any entrepreneurial lessons that you might want to share with our listeners if they're in startup operations or thinking about a startup or anything you think would be helpful for others to learn that you learned along the way here?
Yeah, I think biggest thing is to invest in your team, invest in your community, and invest in the younger generations. And when I say invest, it doesn't necessarily have to be financial investing, but it should be time, because sometimes time is more important than a financial investment.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, time to listen, time to understand, not
Yeah.
just a financial investment too. Time in the community, time in your
Yeah.
people, time in your customer. That's really, really great
Yeah.
advice. All terrific advice. And we're just so excited for your success. And the story of your success is one that we can all learn from, right? What it means to really win the war for talent. You do not have trouble attracting engineers to come to your organization, and they stay. Your turnover is very, very low because you've created this amazing culture there. And we just think it's terrific. And it's something that we can all learn from in our own organizations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Again, we've been talking with Stacy Paul, Stacy, the CEO of Array of Engineers in Grand Rapids. And we're so thrilled to learn about her company and her success and winning the war for talent with culture. Stacy, thanks again for being our guest today.
Thank you so much.